All right, for Group Three's TCA, we have the Airbnb case, which primarily deals with the air business travel vertical, ABTV, in the Asian market. In 2015, Airbnb established Airbnb business travel vertical, Airbnb, ABTV, to better allow corporate travelers to book rooms that better reflected the corporate standard for travel. Due to the recency of this establishment, there has been some issues in expanding this segment of the business and capturing market share when compared to its competitors. This problem is noted especially in China, where it has had some difficulty in expanding past the tier one cities and overcoming tax problems. Another problem for Airbnb is a lack of partnership with Chinese companies. One such example is Google, who was an early adopter of ABTV and lacks a significant presence in China. Most of these problems in China can be explained by the fact that China has local companies that had an early start in China. The primary company here is TCA, which had 4-year head start over ABTV in the Chinese market. Another explanation that is previously mentioned is regulatory issues, such as those tax issues, and also cultural differences, which TCA exploits by having more localized features, such as being able to contact the host directly through the app, which ABTV simply doesn't have. To solve these issues, our recommendation is to purchase TCA. This will allow Airbnb to, one, expand without a local player to force uncomfortable decisions. Two, give Airbnb the expertise and local knowledge to solve the technical issues with taxes and regulations. And three, give Airbnb further reach into other locations in China that Airbnb wouldn't have otherwise. These alone should give Airbnb the necessary incentives to purchase TCA, but there are even more possibilities for synergies, such as the cultural knowledge that TCA employees surely have. This will allow Airbnb to solve almost every issue in China mentioned in the case. Due to the previously mentioned competition in TCA, Airbnb has been struggling to expand past the tier one cities in China. This is a great opportunity for further expansion due to the size of the Chinese market and the competitors that Airbnb has. If TCA is allowed to claim the entirety of the Chinese market, then TCA will have the opportunity to expand internationally, which could weaken Airbnb's dominance in the travel market. Like mentioned in the slides, despite being the largest single market in the business travel segment, only 1.5% of Airbnb's listings in 2015 were in China. This is a massive imbalance that needs to be addressed or TCA and other companies will claim the market share in China and leave Airbnb the dust. While there is a clear evidence for growth in the Chinese market, being the fastest growing single market as well as being the largest, Airbnb has thus far been unable to capitalize on this explosive growth. I'll now pass it over to Tyler, who will go over to financials.
Thank you, Tim. The global business travel market is valued at $1.6 trillion, which highlights opportunities for alternative options such as Airbnb. Around 13 to 24% of the global business travel market accounts for hotels. However, hotels report that 30% of their bookings were from business travelers, while Airbnb reports 10%, pointing towards an opportunity for a potential shift towards cost-effective solutions as Airbnb has cost advantages. Airbnb reports that their business traveler clients can save on average 30% or $116 per night. That can be an appeal for budget-conscious companies. These numbers demonstrate the need to adapt strategies to the evolving preferences of business travelers. Airbnb's success in gaining traction with corporate clients is reflected in corporate client spending, which grew about 24% year over year in the second quarter of 2016 to $77 million. This growth rate outpaced that of hotel chains. A notable example of this is Google, which spent $2 million on Airbnb bookings in 2014, showcasing how major companies are adopting these cost-saving measures. These trends emphasize the importance of aligning business strategies to expand demand for cost-effective solutions for business travelers. Globally, the Asian business travel market is the largest and the fastest growing market segment. The Asian market represents 38% of the total spending of $1 trillion. Segment also held remarkable growth, doubling from 2000 to 2014, and projected to grow 2.5 times faster than the European market. Countries such as China and India are the largest reasons behind the growth. China's business traveler market is supposed to grow to 11.4% for the year, and India is supposed to grow at 11%. These growth projections indicate that investing into the Asian markets is critical to sustain growth for Airbnb. The overall landscape of the business travel is highlighted in Asia, and also offers strategic challenges for companies operating in the market. And now off to external and internal forces.
Airbnb's efforts to compete in the Chinese market are influenced by a mix of external and internal forces. Externally, Airbnb faces intense market competition from local players like TCA, which already have a strong hold on the market. Additionally, technological implementations are crucial as the company needs to adapt to local preferences for apps and payment systems. Regulatory and legal challenges also pose significant hurdles, with strict local laws and regulations affecting operations. Internally, Airbnb leverages its company resources, including a robust platform and extensive global experience. Customer loyalty is another critical factor, as building trust with Chinese users is essential. Efficient company operations and existing partnerships with local businesses can enhance market presence. Lastly, strong financial resources allow Airbnb to invest in marketing and technological adaptations to better serve the Chinese market. Now, going on to our analysis tools, our primary analysis tool is the VRIO framework. This framework effectively analyzes Airbnb by evaluating the resources across four parts: value, rarity, immutability, and organization. In terms of value, Airbnb provides unique, local experience and often more affordable options compared to traditional hotels, enhancing its appeal to travelers seeking authenticity. The rarity of Airbnb's offerings is evident in its diverse range of accommodations. Although the overall business model can be imitated, the specific hosts and personal touches make Airbnb's experiences unique. Organizationally, Airbnb benefits from a strong global brand, a user-friendly platform, and a trusted review system, though it faces challenges in navigating local regulations and building trust in new markets. By leveraging these strengths and addressing its challenges, Airbnb can maintain a competitive edge in the Asian market. Our secondary analysis tool is the PESTLE framework. This framework analyzes external factors affecting both companies across six parts: political, economic, social, technological, environmental, and legal. A secondary analysis of Airbnb's challenges in the Chinese market can be explored after the VRIO framework using the PESTLE framework. Politically, government regulations in China are stringent, particularly concerning data privacy and approval processes for foreign companies, which can hinder Airbnb's operations. Economically, pricing strategies must consider local income levels and inflation, making affordability a high and key competitive factor. Socially, consumer preferences in China lean heavily toward culturally tailored experiences and platforms that align with local lifestyles. Technologically, the rise of advanced digital platforms and the rapid adoption of new technologies in China create opportunities, but also demand constant innovation. Environmentally, there is a growing emphasis on sustainable tourism and minimizing the impact on local communities, which presents both challenges and opportunities for Airbnb's offerings. Legally, issues such as licensing and compliance with local laws add another layer of complexity, requiring the company to navigate a web of policies specific to the region. Now I'll pass it over to Jaden, who will go over the primary and secondary alternatives.
Now that we've discussed what tools we use to analyze Airbnb, we will talk about the primary and secondary alternatives. As stated previously, Airbnb is struggling to establish itself in the Chinese market as it is a newcomer in the established hotel market. In order to combat these competitors and increase Airbnb's chance of success in China, we are offering three alternatives for Airbnb to consider. For the primary alternative, we are suggesting that Airbnb purchase Tajia, a company local to China that began operations 4 years prior to Airbnb in China. Purchasing Tajia allows Airbnb to adapt their successful model of adapting to the culture in the market, something that Tajia does much more successfully than Airbnb's current model. As Airbnb already performs well with tourists, this would allow them to begin roping in Chinese natives and begin further cementing their status as hotel alternatives in the Chinese market. This suggestion will not be a cheap alternative, as 10% of Tajia is owned by Expedia, and Tajia is much stronger position within the market than Airbnb currently possesses. Tajia was roughly valued at $1 billion in 2016, so purchasing Tajia would cost Airbnb a large sum of money, more than likely exceeding $3 billion. While this may seem like a very steep investment, we believe that it is 100% worth it, as Chinese travel business growth of 11.4% each year, exceeding every other market in the world. Establishing a strong presence in a country that is constantly growing is crucial for ensuring success abroad. If Airbnb is unwilling to invest in such a large portion of money into acquiring an established competitor within the market, we recommend focusing on business leisure programs in Asia. As business travel continues to expand drastically, people are beginning to travel more and more with family members, allowing them to treat treat their work trips as mini vacations. We believe that this would allow them to extend their stay in order to visit locations they would not usually be able to visit during normal business trips. According to the case, Asian travelers were 2 times more likely to include weekend extensions on their trips than European travelers. Focusing on this aspect would allow Airbnb to establish a niche within a market they are currently struggling in with relatively to little, no exponential cost of the company. Creating a sector focused business strategy promoting these extensions would cost little investments other than advertisement and allow Airbnb to expand into untouched territory. This alternative may limit growth within strictly corporate travel groups, as some may not want to extend their work stays than they absolutely need to. Our final alternative is developing a corporate loyalty program. This program would essentially be the opposite of business leisure alternative we offered up. This focuses on repeating business with customers and can be used to partner with local businesses to encourage their business to establish these loyalty programs. However, it would not cost as much investment required as to purchasing Tajia, but it would still cost a decent amount of money. While this may seem like a great alternative, it will require Airbnb and other essentially to go against their non-hotel unique appeal if their loyalty program became too similar to other hotels' programs. We do believe that if Airbnb decides to take this route, they should potentially look at also selecting the focus on business leisure option at the same time. The selection of both could act as a counterbalance and allow them to extend their audience with minimal investments or isolation of strategies. Now that we've talked about alternatives, Tyler and I will address the implementation of the plan.
Thank you, Jaden. Airbnb faces significant challenges competing in the Chinese market due to local competitors. After evaluating the 3 alternatives, we recommended Airbnb to acquire Chinese company TCA. This approach enables Airbnb to leverage TCA's established market presence and infrastructure, ensuring indirect participation in the region while focusing on markets where it holds a competitive advantage. The implementation plan assumes a few factors. Firstly, the demand for rentals in China will remain strong and continue to increase. We will assume that competitors will not aggressively try to undercut our price. We will also assume that customers will value the enhanced quality and trust brought by Airbnb's brand association. The primary strategic objective is to position Airbnb with dominant market share. Financially, Airbnb aims to generate a return on investment within 5 years, driven by increased revenue and brand awareness. We will measure success through metrics such as revenue growth, customer satisfaction, and market share.
In order to acquire Tajia, Airbnb will raise the required capital for implementing the plan. As Airbnb was not publicly traded at the time of the case, they could use this opportunity to make it a publicly traded company as one source of raising the capital required. In addition to making it a public traded company, Airbnb could use any loans to finance the remaining portion necessary to purchase Tajia. As stated in the alternatives, Tajia would not be cheap, as in 2016 it had an valuation of $1 billion. This again could force the deal to surpass $3 billion after the closing of said deal. In addition to the investments required to purchase Tajia, Airbnb will want to look into implementing a team to monitor the operations of the acquired company once the deal is complete. As Tajia focused on adapting culturally, Airbnb will want to make sure that these policies are still being upheld and that they are not losing said advantage. Without having the correct team to monitor and correct any complications that arise, the acquisition will have been for nothing. Have been running Tajia to maintain their position while also working with the team overseeing Asia expansion of Airbnb, as Tajia has more time and experience in the desired market. Now that we've talked about implementing the plan, Tyler will quickly wrap up the conclusion.
Thank you, Jaden. In conclusion, Airbnb challenges in competing in the Chinese market with tough competitors. After evaluating several strategic alternatives by using analysis tools such as VRIO and Pestel, we believe that the acquisition of Tajia is the most viable solution. This solution allows Airbnb to dominate the market and strengthen its brand. We will look to monitor the situation closely by looking at the demand for business travel and specifically at non-hotels. We believe if this is the case, then metrics such as revenue growth, market share expansion, and customer satisfaction will increase as indicators of success. This will ensure that Airbnb becomes a formidable player in the evolving global hospitality business landscape. Thank you for listening to our presentation.